Dennis is turning.
I'm alright, cause I'm okay. Doesn't matter if my beard is gray. Just listen, I have something to say.
Dennis is turning.
I'm alright, cause I'm okay. And this old goat has something to say. So just keep learning, for Grandpa Dennis is turning. Hello, I'm Dennis Prevensky and welcome to Grandpa Dennis's wood turning studio. Today I'm going to be turning some small apple and caragana branches into a couple of bowls. I'm going to be putting them into a pail, filling it full of resin, and then turning the casting into a couple of bowls. Stay tuned and let's get started. Here's all the little branches. Next step, take an axe, split these down the length. This is what happens when you don't support small branches and you're trying to cut them on the bandsaw. That was quite an explosion. That's a pretty substantial 3/8 inch blade. It not only crinked, but it cut or broke in half. Well, time for a new blade. The next step is a wire wheel. Now I'm going to take each of the pieces and try and get a little bit of loose bark and loose dirt off of this. First thing, make sure the power is on to the lathe. The lathe doesn't work very well unless there's power coming to it. That's tedious work. I don't know if it made that much difference. I guess there is some difference in there. Well, I'll continue on with all the pieces. All of the apple and caragana pieces squeezed into the pail. They're approximately 4 inches in height and about 9.5 inches in diameter. This is the casting that came out of the pail. It spent some time in the vacuum chamber, and then it was in a pressure pot for 3 days. It's got a turquoise green color to it, and I think it's going to make a nice bowl. So let's get started. The casting is attached to a waste block with 2-hour epoxy, and my faceplate is screwed into that waste block. I'm now truing up the outside of the casting. When I originally poured the epoxy into the pail, I placed a round plywood disc on top of the branches to keep them from floating up. The only way to get the disc off is to actually turn it off, which I'm doing now. I'm using the dark lines on the casting as a reference point for my final shaping. The center part of this casting was one large branch, and it's all end grain. In fact, the entire inside is end grain, and that makes it very, very difficult to turn. I tried a variety of tools to hollow out the inside of this bowl. In the end, the one that worked the best was a carbide tool. My sanding process is from 80 grit all the way to 1500 grit. After each of the higher grits, I use the air compressor to blow the dust off of the piece so it doesn't interfere with the next grit. Now it's time to part off the bowl. I'll use my parting tool and go part way through and then use a saw to cut the rest. When I put my waste block onto my faceplate, I drilled a hole right through the center in here. Now that comes out in here. This is the little bit of the waste block that's left on the bottom of the bowl, but I now have a center in there. So now when I reverse chuck my my bowl, I can bring the tailstock up right to the center. Now I've got my new vacuum chuck attached to my lathe. This is from the One Way Tool Company in Canada. And I've got a cap on here to test my vacuum, and it's at 28, which is the maximum I've ever gotten out of my vacuum system. This is the secret to reverse turning. I can now hold my piece onto the lathe without marring the inside of the bowl. I bring the tailstock up for some added support and safety. And because of the hole in the center, I'm able to center this, and hopefully it'll be right on the mark. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank everybody that has subscribed to my channel. That's very helpful. I welcome all new subscribers and ask people to comment, in particular about the length of the video and whether you want more detail or less detail. Sharing this video with your friends, and in particular wood turners, will really help my channel grow. Now I can shave off the rest of the waste block and then clean it up. When I shaped the outside and sanded it, I only went to approximately there. Now when I finish off the bottom, I can make a nice little foot and then finish this part off, smooth it out, and do my sanding and polishing. I want to have some concave in here so that when the bowl sits on a table, the foot sits on this outer ring, and that creates more stability than having it completely flat right across. After my sanding, I use a diamond grit on a buffing wheel to get rid of all the final scratches. I always use a homemade finish for all of my pieces. It's 1/3 boiled linseed oil, 1/3 pure tung oil, and 1/3 polyurethane. Every 24 hours, another coat is put on with a buffing in between coats. Before I go, I have 4 quick points I want to make. 1, subscribe to my channel if you like these videos. Number 2, provide me some feedback, in particular on the length of the video and the content. And number 3, go to my channel and see some of the other videos you might enjoy. And number 4, this bowl is for sale. If you're interested, please send me an email.
Grandpa Dennis is turning.
I'm alright, 'cause I'm okay. It doesn't matter if my beard is gray. Just listen, I have something to say.
Grandpa Dennis is turning.
I'm alright, 'cause I'm okay. And this old goat has something to say. So just keep learning, for Grandpa Dennis is turning.